All right, quick reminder about writing equations of lines. So we're going to do this in slope-intercept form. First thing I'm going to do is figure out my slope. So if I look at my rise and my run, it's going up from a y value of 1 to 4, so it's rising up 3, and it's going to the right 2. Both of those are positive. Up is positive direction, right is positive direction. So rise over run makes my slope 3 over 2. If you don't have a graph of it, all you have is your points. It might be easier just to use your formula for slope. So you could subtract your y values to see how far your rise goes, subtract your x values to see how far your horizontal distance goes. What matters is that you keep the same order top and bottom. So if I start with the point 4, 4 on top, I need to start with it for my x value on bottom as well. Either way, you'll get 3 halves. And then for your y-intercept, I can't see on my graph where it crosses the y-axis, so let's take one of our 2 points that I know are on my line and plug in my x and y value. So I'm going to have 1 equals 3 halves times 2 plus b, and then I can solve that for my y-intercept. So subtract 3 from both sides, you'll get a y value of -2 for your y-intercept. Okay, let's talk parallel and perpendicular lines. So I want a line that's parallel to this one. If it's parallel to this one, it's going to have the same slope as it. So let's go ahead and write this one in slope-intercept form so I can calculate the slope of this line. So solving for y, subtract 27x, and then divide both sides by 9. This line is, if you put it in slope-intercept form, same as y equals -3x plus 1. Since my line that I'm trying to write the equation of is parallel to this one, it's going to have the same slope of -3 as this one does. So for my new line that I'm writing my equation for, I'm just going to go ahead and put y equals -3x plus b, because it's a different line, it's going to have a different y-intercept. I know it's supposed to go through the point -2, 1, so let's plug in those for my x and my y values. And then I can solve to figure out my y-intercept of this new line. So you're going to end up with -5, so y equals -3x minus 5. Perpendicular is pretty similar, except your slope is going to be opposite sign and the reciprocal of my original line. So let's talk about what opposite and reciprocals mean for a second. Opposite means opposite signs. Reciprocal means like 1 over it. So they're both opposite signs and reciprocals. So my slope is going to be positive 1 over 3 for my perpendicular line. And then I'm still going to have to find my new y-intercept by plugging in my x and y value of the point that I know this passes through, still using that -2, 1. And then if I solve for my y-intercept, I'm just going to leave this in mixed number form because that's easier. So my y-intercept is going to be 1 2/3. So y equals 1/3 x plus 1 2/3 for my perpendicular line. Now perpendicular to y equals 4 is a little bit weird to think about. So let's think about what y equals 4 is. It's a horizontal line, and it might help to actually draw a little sketch of it. So here's y equals 4, not perfectly straight, but we want the equation of a line that is perpendicular to this one and goes through -2, 1. So perpendicular to a horizontal line is going to be a vertical line, and I need the vertical line that goes through -2, 1. So that's just the line that consists of all the points with x's of -2. So x equals -2. Who doesn't love a little gardening? So we are planting some peppers and tomatoes in our 16 by 20 foot garden spot. I want to use all the space in my garden. So first off, let's calculate the area of my garden. If I do area of a rectangle, 16 times 20 is going to give me 320. And then that 320 square feet is going to be taken up by space for my peppers and space for my tomatoes. I would like less tomato space because I don't like tomatoes, but it's okay. I like to make salsa out of them. For each pepper, it takes 5 square feet. So 5 times the number of pepper plants will give me the space that those take up. You should always define your variables. So I'm going to say over here, X is the number of pepper plants that I'm planting, and then I'm going to use Y for my number of tomato plants. And each tomato takes 8 square feet. So 8 times Y will give me the space that all my tomatoes take up. I want to know how many pepper plants I can grow if I grow 15 tomato plants. So if I plug in 15 for my number of tomato plants, okay, I'm going to be kind of weird when I multiply here. I'm going to take 8 times 30 because that's easier, and then cut it in half because 15 is half of 30. So 8 times 15 is 120. Yeah, that's the way my mind works. Subtract 120 and then divide by 5, and you will end up with X equals 40 pepper plants. This is a pretty big garden we've got going on.